Hey Virgo, come sit with me for a moment because what I'm about to share with you today is something I think you really need to hear. I just pulled cards for you around the question of who must you forgive to find peace, and honestly, the energy coming through is incredibly profound. This isn't just about other people, Virgo. This reading is going to take you deep into understanding forgiveness as a doorway to your own liberation. So I shuffled the deck with your energy in mind, and I have to say, the cards that came through are speaking volumes about where you are right now and what needs to shift for you to finally feel that peace you've been seeking. Let me walk you through what the universe wants you to know. The first card I pulled is the Tower. And Virgo, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The Tower represents that moment when everything you thought was stable just crumbles. But here's what I want you to understand about this card in the context of forgiveness. The Tower isn't here to scare you. It's here to show you that sometimes the structures we build, the grudges we hold, the resentment we carry, they all need to fall apart so something truer can emerge. You might be holding on to anger or hurt from a situation that completely shook your world. Maybe someone betrayed you. Maybe life didn't go the way you planned. Maybe you experienced a loss that felt like it destroyed everything you believed in. The Tower is asking you to forgive the chaos. Forgive the destruction. Because that breakdown was actually breaking you open to a new version of yourself. I know it's hard to see it that way when you're still processing the pain. But the universe is saying that your peace begins when you stop resenting what fell apart. Those structures needed to crumble, Virgo. They were keeping you small, keeping you stuck, keeping you from your truth. Forgiveness here means accepting that some things had to end so you could begin again. And I'm sensing that you've been angry at life itself, angry at the universe for allowing this upheaval. But what if that Tower moment was actually your greatest gift? What if it freed you from something that would have kept you trapped forever? The peace you're seeking starts when you can look at that rubble and say thank you instead of why me. The second card here is King of Pentacles. And this is interesting because we're moving from chaos into stability, from destruction into mastery. The King of Pentacles represents someone who has built something solid, someone who has resources, someone who has achieved a level of success and security. In the context of who you need to forgive, I'm getting a strong sense that this might represent a father figure, a mentor, a boss, or someone who had authority in your life. Someone who you looked up to, someone who was supposed to provide for you, protect you, guide you, and somehow they failed you. Maybe they were too controlling, maybe they were emotionally unavailable, maybe they prioritized work and material success over connection and presence. Maybe they made you feel like you were never good enough, like you always had to prove your worth through achievement and perfection. Virgo, you have such a strong work ethic, such high standards for yourself, and I'm wondering if some of that comes from trying to earn love from someone who gave conditionally. The King of Pentacles can also represent your own relationship with success and worthiness. Maybe you need to forgive yourself for measuring your value by external achievements. Maybe you need to forgive yourself for all the times you worked yourself to exhaustion trying to feel secure. Maybe you need to forgive yourself for believing that being productive equals being lovable. This card is asking you to release the belief that you have to earn your peace. You don't have to be perfect to deserve forgiveness. You don't have to accomplish more to be worthy of love. The King of Pentacles reminds you that true stability comes from within, and your peace will come when you stop seeking validation from external sources and start honoring your inherent worth. Now the third card is Five of Cups, and oh Virgo, this one hits deep. The Five of Cups is the card of grief, loss, and disappointment. It shows someone standing in front of 3 spilled cups, mourning what's been lost, while behind them 2 cups still stand full. This card is about fixating on what went wrong instead of seeing what's still available. In terms of forgiveness, the Five of Cups is showing me that you're stuck in a loop of sadness about something or someone. You keep replaying the hurt, keep focusing on what you didn't get, what you lost, how things should have been different. And I completely understand that, Virgo. Loss is real. Disappointment is valid. Your grief deserves space. But this card is gently reminding you that while you're staring at those spilled cups, while you're consumed by what went wrong, you're missing the blessings that are still there. You're missing the love that still exists. You're missing the opportunities for joy that are right behind you. Who do you need to forgive? You need to forgive the situation that didn't work out the way you hoped. You need to forgive the person who couldn't give you what you needed. You need to forgive yourself for choosing someone or something that ultimately disappointed you. But most importantly, Virgo, you need to forgive yourself for staying stuck in the grief, for making the sadness your identity, for holding on to the pain because at least it's familiar. The Five of Cups is asking you to turn around. To acknowledge the loss, yes, but then to pick up those two remaining cups and recognize that life is still offering you something beautiful. Your peace comes when you can honor your grief without letting it define your entire existence. The fourth card is Queen of Wands, and the energy just completely shifted when I pulled this one. The Queen of Wands is confident, magnetic, creative, passionate, and fully in her power. She knows who she is and she doesn't apologize for it. After the heaviness of the Five of Cups, the Queen of Wands is like a breath of fire, a reminder of your own strength and radiance. In the context of forgiveness, this card is telling me that you need to forgive yourself for dimming your light. Maybe you made yourself smaller to make someone else comfortable. Maybe you suppressed your passion and creativity because you were told it was too much, too intense, too impractical. Maybe you learned to play it safe, to be more analytical and less expressive, to hide the parts of you that are wild and free and fiery. Virgo, you have this incredible earthy, practical energy, but you also have fire within you. You have desires and dreams and a creative force that wants to be expressed. The Queen of Wands is asking you to forgive yourself for abandoning that part of you, for choosing stability over passion, for prioritizing what makes sense over what makes you feel alive. She's also asking you to forgive anyone who made you feel like you needed to shrink, anyone who couldn't handle your full expression, anyone who preferred you manageable instead of magnificent. Your peace comes when you reclaim your power, when you step back into your sovereignty, when you remember that you are allowed to take up space, to shine brightly, to live with passion and purpose. The Queen of Wands doesn't ask for permission, and she doesn't apologize for who she is. And neither should you. The fifth card is Temperance, and this is such a healing card to appear here. Temperance is about balance, harmony, integration, and divine timing. It's the card of the alchemist, taking different elements and blending them into something new and beautiful. In a forgiveness reading, Temperance is showing me that your healing is a process, not an event. You don't have to forgive everything all at once. You don't have to force yourself to let go before you're ready. Temperance asks for patience with yourself, for gentleness with your process, for trust in the timing of your healing. Who do you need to forgive? You need to forgive yourself for how long it's taking, for still being affected by something that happened months or years ago, for not being over it yet, for still feeling the pain when you think you should be healed by now. Virgo, you have such high standards for yourself in every area, including your emotional healing. But Temperance reminds you that true healing happens slowly, layer by layer, in its own perfect time. This card is also about forgiveness as a practice of balance. It's not about excusing what someone did or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about finding the middle ground between holding on to bitterness and bypassing your pain. It's about honoring your anger while also choosing peace. It's about acknowledging the hurt while also opening to hope. Temperance asks you to integrate all the parts of your experience, the pain and the growth, the loss and the lessons, the anger and the acceptance. Your peace comes through this alchemical process of transformation, where you take everything you've been through and turn it into wisdom, into compassion, into strength. The sixth card is the Moon, and Virgo. This card is asking you to go deeper than logic can take you. The Moon represents the subconscious, the hidden, the mysterious, the parts of yourself that you can't quite understand or explain. It's about illusions, fears, and the shadows that come out when the sun goes down. In terms of forgiveness, the Moon is revealing that there's something beneath the surface that you haven't fully acknowledged yet. Maybe you're angry about one thing on the surface, but underneath there's a deeper wound. Maybe you think you need to forgive a specific person for a specific action, but really you need to forgive yourself for the beliefs you formed from that experience. The Moon asks you to explore what's lurking in your emotional depths. What are you afraid to look at? What truth are you avoiding? What old story are you still telling yourself? I'm sensing that some of your unforgiveness is actually self-protection. It's easier to stay angry at someone else than to face your own vulnerability. It's easier to blame them than to acknowledge your part in the dynamic. The Moon also represents intuition, and I think your inner knowing has been trying to tell you something about forgiveness that your mind doesn't want to hear. Maybe your intuition knows that holding the grudge is hurting you more than it's hurting them. Maybe your intuition knows that the person you most need to forgive is yourself. The Moon asks you to sit with the discomfort, to explore the shadows, to be honest about what you're really feeling beneath the surface. Your peace comes when you bring the unconscious into consciousness, when you shine light on what you've been hiding from yourself. The seventh card is Page of Cups, and this brings such a sweet, tender energy into the reading. The Page of Cups is all about emotional openness, inner child healing, and innocent vulnerability. This card often represents a message from the heart, a new emotional beginning, or reconnecting with your capacity for wonder and trust. In a forgiveness context, the Page of Cups is telling me that you need to forgive your inner child, that younger version of you who didn't get what they needed, who was hurt or disappointed or let down, who learned to close their heart to protect themselves from further pain. Virgo, I'm sensing that some of the unforgiveness you carry now is actually old childhood pain that never got resolved. Maybe you had to grow up too fast, had to be the responsible one, had to take care of others before you learned to take care of yourself. Maybe you never got to just be playful and carefree and trusting. Maybe someone broke your trust when you were young and you've been guarded ever since. The Page of Cups is asking you to go back to that younger version of yourself with compassion, to forgive them for not knowing better, for believing the lies they were told, for making choices from a place of fear and self-protection. But more than that, this card is asking you to forgive the people who hurt that child version of you, parents who were imperfect, friends who were cruel, adults who should have protected you but didn't. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you're no longer letting their actions keep your heart locked away. The Page of Cups invites you to soften again, to open again, to trust again. Your peace comes when you can look at your inner child with love and understanding, when you can give them the validation and acceptance they never received. The 8th card is Knight of Swords, and this card comes charging in with intense mental energy. The Knight of Swords is fast, direct, sharp, and sometimes brutally honest. He represents thoughts that cut through illusion, truth that pierces denial, and the courage to face reality head-on. In this forgiveness reading, the Knight of Swords is telling me that you need to forgive yourself for your own harsh thoughts and self-criticism. Virgo, you have such a sharp mind, such an ability to analyze and see clearly, but sometimes that sword turns inward and you use it against yourself. You replay conversations obsessively, analyzing every mistake, cutting yourself down with cruel self-talk. The Knight of Swords is asking you to forgive yourself for the war you've been waging in your own mind, for the harsh judgments, for the constant criticism, for never being satisfied with yourself no matter how hard you try. This card is also about forgiving people who were verbally cruel, who said things that cut deep, whose words left scars. Maybe someone criticized you harshly. Maybe they spoke to you with contempt. Maybe they used their intelligence and sharpness to make you feel small. The Knight of Swords reminds you that their words were about them, not about you. They were projecting their own pain, their own insecurity, their own need to feel superior. Forgiveness here means reclaiming your power from their words. It means recognizing that just because someone said it doesn't make it true. It means choosing thoughts that support and uplift you instead of thoughts that tear you down. Your peace comes when you learn to direct that sword of truth toward liberation instead of self-punishment, when you speak to yourself with kindness instead of cruelty. The 9th card is Two of Wands, and this card is all about vision, planning, and standing at a crossroads looking toward the future. The Two of Wands shows someone holding the world in their hands, contemplating their next move, seeing the possibilities ahead. In terms of forgiveness, this card is telling me that you're at a choice point. You can continue carrying the weight of unforgiveness, or you can set it down and walk toward a new future. The Two of Wands is asking you what kind of life you want to create. Do you want to build your future on a foundation of old pain and resentment? Or do you want to create something new, something lighter, something more aligned with peace? This card represents the power of your choices. Forgiveness is a choice, Virgo. It's a decision you make not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve peace. The Two of Wands also suggests that you need to forgive yourself for staying stuck, for standing at the crossroads too long without moving forward. Maybe you've been waiting for an apology that's never coming. Maybe you've been waiting to feel ready, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the hurt to magically disappear. But the Two of Wands is saying that the time is now. You don't need anything external to change in order to choose forgiveness. You just need to decide that your peace is more important than your pain. This card is also about forgiving yourself for the opportunities you missed while you were consumed by anger or hurt, for the chances you didn't take because you were too wounded to try, for the love you pushed away because you were afraid of being hurt again. Your peace comes when you turn toward the horizon with intention, when you claim your power to create a different future starting right now. The 10th and final card is the Sun. And Virgo, what a beautiful card to end on. The Sun is pure joy, clarity, vitality, success, and liberation. It's the card of breakthrough after darkness, of truth revealed, of innocence restored. After everything we've explored in this reading, All the layers of pain and grief and shadows, the sun comes through to remind you that peace is possible. Happiness is possible. Freedom is possible. In terms of who you need to forgive to find peace, the sun is the answer itself. The sun represents the version of you that exists beyond all the hurt, beyond all the heaviness, beyond all the unforgiveness. It's your true nature, your authentic self, your soul's light that can never be diminished no matter what you've been through. Who do you need to forgive? Everyone and everything that has blocked you from this light. But most importantly, you need to forgive yourself for forgetting who you really are, for identifying with your pain instead of your power, for believing that the darkness was permanent. The sun is saying that you are not your wounds. You are not your mistakes. You are not what happened to you. You are light itself. You are joy itself. You are love itself. And forgiveness is what allows you to remember that truth. The sun also represents the child archetype, that part of you that is naturally happy, playful, free, and trusting. Forgiveness restores your innocence. Not in a naive way, but in the sense that you can engage with life with openness and wonder again. You can love without cynicism. You can trust without being foolish. You can hope without being disappointed. Your peace comes when you step into the sun's light fully, when you let its warmth melt away all the coldness you've been carrying, when you allow yourself to shine again without guilt or reservation. So Virgo, let me bring all of this together for you. This reading has taken us on such a journey through the different layers of forgiveness you need to embrace to find true peace. You need to forgive the chaos that broke you open. You need to forgive those who failed to provide what you needed. You need to forgive yourself for grieving what was lost. You need to forgive yourself for dimming your light. You need to forgive yourself for how long healing takes. You need to forgive the shadows you've been afraid to face. You need to forgive your wounded inner child. You need to forgive the harsh words spoken to you and by you. You need to forgive yourself for standing still when you could have moved forward. And ultimately, you need to forgive yourself for forgetting your own radiance. Forgiveness isn't a one-time event, Virgo. It's a practice, a process, a journey. Some days you'll feel peaceful and light. Other days the old pain will resurface and you'll have to choose forgiveness again. And that's okay. Be patient with yourself. Be gentle with your heart. Trust that every small step toward forgiveness is taking you closer to the peace you deserve. The universe is supporting you in this. Your guides are with you. And your future self, the one who has already found peace, is reaching back through time to remind you that it's possible, that it's worth it, that you're worth it. Thank you for letting me share this reading with you, Virgo. I hope it gave you clarity, comfort, and maybe even a little courage to start releasing what you've been carrying. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be at peace. And forgiveness is the key that unlocks that door.